Welcome to Leaving Nothing to Chance, your go-to podcast where we bring you insights from some of the most influential voices in small business and personal development. Each week, we dive deep into conversations with top thought leaders, authors, and business moguls from around the world, sharing their secrets to success and strategies for growth. Tune in for exclusive content that will inspire, motivate, and equip you to take your journey to the next level. This is Leaving Nothing to Chance.
This is going to be a fun interview. My new friend from Georgia, Mr. Jimmy Allen. How are you today, Jimmy?
Hey, John, I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm great. I can't wait to do this because you have so much energy. And even for a new dad, by the way, I know you have a new baby at home, so I know you're not getting a lot of sleep, but you have so much energy and so much content. And I know you're the host of the Better Humans podcast. Tell everybody about the show and where they can find it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Better Humans it's a show I put on to really emphasize humanity and relationships. We are usually entrepreneurs who come on, and so we really believe in entrepreneurship as the greatest form of personal development in our businesses or how we reach out and impact the lives of others. We do that through mutual interests, shared values, and transacting and trading energy with each other. And so that's really what the podcast is about and how we can go out and make better humans around us. And then that, if anyone wanted to tune in and listen to any of the episodes, we're on YouTube, Better Humans Podcast. And I think you can go to betterhumans.show. I think it's the domain that I bought for it. And we post all the episodes there if you ever wanted to tune in and subscribe. We're on Apple and Spotify too. I put it everywhere.
Easy enough to find it. And you and I figured out when we did your show, you've got a really famous name that I didn't connect until we talked, right? As a man thinketh for James Allen, right?
Yeah.
Your new son's name, your dad's name, and your grandpa's name.
Yeah. Yeah. Late grandfather's James Allen Sr. My dad goes by Jim. I go by Jimmy. And the youngest boy, he's baby James right now. He's not even 2. And man, he's amazing. One of the best humans I know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, enjoy those babies. They do grow up fast. I can tell you that firsthand. Unfortunately and unfortunately, it's great when they grow up, but then you kind of look back at the soccer games and the hockey games and the stuff, and you go, "Wow, it's over." But then you wait for the grandkids to come, and you do it all over again. So let's talk about life lessons. Okay, you've interviewed a lot of people, and
Yeah.
I know you do some work with ClickFunnels that we'll talk to about as well. So you're around great entrepreneurs and you interview great people. And I'm not saying that because I've been a guest on your show, by the way. You interview other great people. I just wanted a long line. So if we had to say categorically, what would be a lesson that you learned, for example, about health from one of your guests?
Health. I think one of the lessons that I've learned doing the podcast in conjunction with health is that the battle that you fight many times has to do with the voice in your head. The problem is seldom the problem. The problem is what you think about the problem. And I've had a couple of guests on that really looked at the psychology of things like that. And the problem isn't exercising at the gym, it's getting to the gym, right? The problem isn't putting on your shoes to clip in on your bike and pedaling, it's getting off the couch to go grab the shoes. So it's really that decision and that mental switch, that flip and trigger that gets you to go do the thing. Sometimes that is the hardest part because I know that when I get to the other side of exercise, I feel great. When I get in, even just I take my almost 2-year-old, we have our little garage gym at home. And I take him in there with me, and he plays on the little sliding seat on the rowing machine, and he hangs from the bars with me, and he wants to pick up the little kettlebell and move it to the bench, and then move it to the chair, and then move it here and pick it. And he loves to do work with me. And no, so not only do I really enjoy being in that room with my son, but I also feel so much better afterwards. So what's the actual hard part here is, do I open up my laptop and start looking at my phone first thing in the morning and start getting into work because I have like stress and cortisol around getting all that stuff done? Or do I make the decision to make my health the priority and focus on that so I can show up better for others? And the answer is really obvious here and now, But in those moments, I go, what if maybe I can do it this afternoon, or like maybe when the kids go to bed, or I'll get to it tomorrow. And you understand the cycle.
It's like that Garth Brooks song, right? If tomorrow never comes, I go to the gym today.
I don't, I don't know. Just right now, it's such a busy time right now. And dude, I get it. One of my guests was saying that he really struggles with the mental side. And that's what he and I really connected on, was the mental decision to do the right thing for your health.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Not always the easiest decision, but
No,
necessary. So what about wealth? What have you learned about wealth from one of your guests?
I think it was probably with Josh 40. I was a guest on his podcast. And I think we mutually posted. And with him, just in our working relationship, along with the podcast episode, I've learned so much in terms of having a podcast, being heavily networked. And there's that old adage that's your network is your net worth. But there's another variable in the equation, and it's like the gravity of your relationships, the intimacy that you have in those relationships that can 100x. I mean, people talk about, how do I get my 10x pull, my 2x, my 5x, my 10x lever? Sometimes the intimacy, or like the level with which you are in a relationship with somebody, can multiply your wealth that much further. Just without a doubt, I know that this guy's got my back. And so he gets all my business, and I've got this guy's back all the time. And so he hires me for everything. And I can tell you that through a lot of my relationships, just by getting acquainted with Josh, it's night and day, just night and day. Oh, actually, you know what? I was reminiscing with this about him. I was 1 year ago, I didn't know how I was going to pay a credit card bill, and they were calling, and they were texting, and hey, you need to pay. If you don't, we might need a report. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it was some of the work and the relationship that I had with Josh that what my business was doing in, we'll say, like a year, we did in 2 weeks. And I went, oh my God, this changed everything. It changed everything. So the relationship, it's not even just the network, it's the relationship that is key.
I love that. And my next question was going to be about relationships, but you just identified it. Along those lines, Jimmy, you've been doing podcasts for a while. I've been doing them now for 5 years. You meet remarkable people. I haven't met anybody yet that I haven't liked. I haven't had a guest yet that I haven't said, I'd like to go have dinner with this person. You know what I mean? Like, they're really interesting. They're compelling. They're interested in the world. They're interested in helping people. But along those lines, okay, with some of the folks that you have done podcasts with, what do you see as the value in that, beyond the health and the wealth we already talked about and the relationship building? How does it go beyond that? And why should people start a podcast?
Yeah, I think even a relationship that doesn't correlate to, we'll say, like wealth or wealth building, I think that, even with people who I've had a podcast with, there's still value you can extract that's not monetary. A lot of times, the way that I've done this before is, when I started, I had one boy, and he's growing up, going through all the phases. And how do you relate to your wife when you both are stressed out over and sleepless over a baby? Advice, value, because guess what? That builds up and bolsters my relationship and intimacy with my wife, which I hold at the highest value. My wife was pregnant, and we had another baby coming down the pipeline. I had someone on, he's got 4 kids, 5 kids. And hey, my world's about to radically change with a second baby. What do I need to look forward to? So I've leaned on people for their expertise and their advice on this, that, and the other. And honestly, if it helps me shortcut needing to go to a business, to get a vacation, to get counseling, to get marriage advice, and just sends me straight to the end result that I wanted to get out of like my marriage or like interpersonal relationships, they save me time, they save me money. And that's massive. Like, absolutely lean on the relationship with people who are further along than you are to collapse time for yourself. It's not even about money, it's about your life.
Exactly. So let's talk about some of the ventures that you have. Viralclips.io, new venture that you and I
Okay.
discussed the other day a little bit. Tell everybody about that.
Wow. So honestly, it's a business that me and a couple of other partners we tripped into, Kevin and Josh. We basically tripped and fell into it. But once we really understood the opportunity that was here, we put blinders on and we said, what is the fastest path to 10 clients, to massive growth, to scale, to developing the agency? And we're as digital marketers and online business owners, as entrepreneurs, we are on a fast track to this wild new reality that is all every the business as in its entirety is about to get rocked by this thing called AI. And I don't know a ton of businesses that aren't leveraging AI anymore, but for the most part, it's how do we write our emails? How do we have this review our legal docs to make sure that there's nothing wrong? Just different like menial stuff like that. But I genuinely think that business, how it's conducted up until probably 2027, 2028, what happens after those dates, I have no idea what will drive value in an economy from that point forward. So we're looking at this new venture and we're saying, oh my God, okay, so how do we get a ton of leverage over a short period of time in order to drive the most amount of results for businesses? And so basically where we landed on this was, okay, we need massive leverage, and that's in a network. Right? We talk about relationships and networks and populations of people all mutually benefiting off of the opportunity at hand here. And so we developed these clipping armies, these networks of people who want to distribute your content and your message out, but at scale. Normally, you need to go to Mark Zuckerberg and you need to take a $20 bill out of your wallet and say, Mark, I want you to show my message and my opportunity to 1,000 people. And you hand over your $20 bill, and Mark goes, okay, boom, there you go. We showed it to 1,000 people, 20 more dollars, please. And you go, oh my gosh, okay, here's 20 more dollars. Boom, it's been shown to 2,000 people. So now it takes that concept and hands the money to a network of people who post on your behalf. And this way, it's not making Mark Zuckerberg any richer, but it is putting money in the hands of people who are doing real work for you, posting your message, clipping it up, like whatever that might look like, right? And you are in control of how you spend your money. That's the best part. Because if I handed Mark the $20 and he showed it to 1,000 people and some of it was legit, some of it wasn't, I don't get any of the money back from Mark Zuckerberg. It's done. Quid pro quo, done. In this instance, you are in control of how your money gets spent when you drive attention to your marketing and to your message. And that's the biggest thing. Like you got leverage and control over how your message goes out to the marketplace. And yeah, I think those are some of the biggest values that we really drive inside of the agency. We're a service with a software component style of agency. That's it. I hope that was a good explanation.
It was because you and I laughed about this the other day because Jimmy's 30, I'm 64, and we're talking about clip farming the other day. And I said, you're the first podcast I've talked to knows about clip farming, and he's in the business of clip farming. But let's go one step further because I think it's really important people understand what the opportunities for their business, whatever they sell. If you're in multi-level, if you're in insurance, if you're in real estate, if you're heck, I'm maybe not selling cars because that's a local thing, but if you're doing any kind of business that is virtual, where people can buy your product or join your opportunity or buy your service, and whether they live only in the United States or they live beyond the United States, clip farming is something that you need to know about. So let's go one step further. Give people an idea how some of your clients, we're not getting into specifics of who they are because I know you shared with me some of who they are, but what kind of businesses are benefiting the most by clip farming right now?
Yeah, it got popularized in the music industry, and there's so many examples. There's and also online entertainment, right? So there's people who have these massive YouTube channels are a great example, right? So they've got these YouTube channels and they've got millions of subscribers, but how do they maintain that attention? So even the largest YouTuber or the largest YouTube channel in the world, Mr. Beast, is somebody who does this in order to command attention at the highest levels. So that's really, and in the music industry too, you've got rap artists, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, they're all fighting, competing for that number one slot. Who's got the biggest, baddest brand, the most clout, commands the most attention. And it's really this like underground stealth way of commanding attention. So who really benefits the most from this is the people who can take attention and convert it into dollar bills. Usually that has to do with someone who's doing something a little more like direct response. I get the rappers are sell the album, sell the merch, different stuff like that. And maybe that's a few touch points away. But really, I think who benefits the most from this are people who can take the attention, capture it, engage with them, and get them to move on to next steps of whatever they wanted that person to do. So a lot of times it's to like and subscribe or to follow on whatever social media platform that you're clipping and posting on. But yeah, it's the people who understand what to do with the attention once you've got it that are really winning.
Would you agree with this if I said that what it does is it helps you as an entrepreneur to build your frequency where people say, like everything you just mentioned there, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in whatever, to build the frequency where they go, hey, I'm going to buy insurance in Atlanta, Georgia. Here's the guy I'm going to buy it from because I see him online all the time versus the guy I never heard of who maybe he's just as good, maybe better, but I never heard of him. But I heard of this guy. There's a one
Mm-hmm.
here, for example, in Dallas. Now I forget his name, but I swear to God, Jimmy, I see this guy every day. You turn on the TV, he's on. Morning, noon, night, turn on ESPN, turn on a ball game, turn on the news. There he is.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a good lawyer, but he certainly knows how to advertise in the clip farm because he's all over the internet as well. To that point, talk about frequency and why it's important for an entrepreneur to get his or her presence out there to the market.
Yeah. Russell Brunson actually coined this the best. It's before even before short-term clips or these short-term video channels really existed. It's the concept of conversation domination. And that basically means that when you turn the TV on, that's the conversation that's happening. When you flip the radio on, that's the conversation that's happening. You open up your phone, you open up Facebook, just below your Aunt Sally's cat is boom, the marketing message for whatever it is that you're putting out and promoting. So the point of this, and when you use the word frequency, I'm thinking how many times does a company put the message out? But it's like another layer outside of that even. It's how like radio bursts. You ever seen like someone like do a like an illustration or like a video illustration of a radio burst or like waves coming out from something? It's like you have a marketing message right here, and then the layers of instances where you're putting this message out, the network exponentially grows the number of places that you're doing it, that you're putting a post out and everything. So it's really wild to think about. But we have, just as an example, 1,300 content clippers inside of a community that we've got a pretty fancy client that we're clipping for right now, right? For anyone watching the video, I'm pointing to a logo for ClickFunnels. And so we've got them as a client right now, and there's 1,300 clippers in their community. So that means that for all of the long form content that they have, it's not just about posting to any of the channel properties that you own right now, but that 1,300 more channel properties out on the internet are also posting your message for you multiple times per day. It's wild.
Huge. The exponential of that, how I see that. I'd love your view on that. As the older of the two guys on the show today, much older, how I see this is the evolution of like when I started my first business, I started word of mouth and then I ran out of people. And then I went to the local newspaper. And then I also went and started doing guerrilla marketing with like tear tag flyers, for example. Okay. And then all of a sudden, cassette tapes came out, and you can get cassette tapes pretty cheap. You went out,
Mhm.
tape duplicator, and you made thousands of them, and you mailed some out, you handed some out. And then videos came along and replaced the cassette tapes, and then on and on. To me, clip farming, that next major step of being able to reach thousands of people in theory through a funnel, right? Where you're going to thousands of people and they're not all interested in your message. They discard it. The majority of them are going to discard it, whatever the message is, right? But you're going to get to that nucleus of human beings that say, I'm interested in your widget. I'm interested in your song. I'm interested in your book. I'm interested in your whatever. Would you agree with that? And if so, great. But more than that, add to that to get people's clarity to understand why this is something that they can
Yeah.
utilize now.
There's a rule, as it's a human behavior rule that we have turned into a model or a framework for how we conduct business. And that's everything is a funnel. Human behavior is a funnel. I mean, you see it everywhere, but you have to have eyes to see. I liked the numbers you were using earlier, so I'll just use them because it's simple that way. We'll if you went straight to Mark Zuckerberg and said, show this ad to 1,000 people, and he did that, and 100 people clicked on it. I'm just going to divide by 10 because that's the easiest. It's the easiest way to just chop it all down. 100 people click on the ad. That means 100 people landed on your page, and 10% of that 100 of people bought your initial product, whatever that might be. That means you got 10 customers, and let's just say for happy numbers, it's $100 product of something, right? So you have 10 customers at $100, it's $1,000 that you made back. All right. So I handed Mark Zuckerberg 20 bucks. My business ended up making $1,000. That's a pretty good funnel, right? I'd keep handing Mark Zuckerberg those $20. But the thing is that real businesses, especially businesses that are operating at scale, there's operating expenses, right? There's taxes. There's problems of buying new software and upgrading, the migrating, the services, you name it. Throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And so that $1,000 you just made it's not pure profit. And so let's say that 30% of it's got to go to Uncle Sam, and another 20% goes to operating. And all of a sudden, half of it is left for you, and you got to put however much here, there, and another. And you might have come close to getting $100 back in your own pocket just for all the hoopla of conducting this business. What really turns digital businesses on and lights them up on fire is the concept that you can offer products at scale. It's an economy of scale because it's digitally distributed. So what you really want to do is not hand Mark Zuckerberg 20 bucks for those 1,000 views. You want to go into this network and you want to hand them as much money as possible to exponentially post this marketing message on your behalf. So for the same amount of money, it was a $20 CPM to Mark Zuckerberg. Just multiply that by 4. So I can pay content clippers 20 bucks and I get roughly 4,000 to 5,000 views just based on the CPM. And that's an expensive CPM inside of the world that we come from. And by the way, I'm sorry, CPM that's a marketing term, or I guess like an advertising acronym. It stands for cost per mil, and it's Latin or something like that. But it just means like how much you're paying every time you get about 1,000 views on an ad.
Exactly.
So when I say a rising tide floats all ships, if you just want to do more business, you need to command more attention. How do you get more attention without going flat linear and paying? And I keep throwing Mark Zuckerberg under the bus here because he's the easiest guy to pick on. YouTube ads, TikTok ads, Pinterest ads, whatever, like wherever you need to pay money for attention, swap it out. But yeah, how do you command more attention for less money is really the problem we're trying to solve here.
So let's talk a little bit about funnels. We reference funnels, and most of our listeners probably know what they are. They've probably used one at one point or another, but you're sitting, I believe, in the office of ClickFunnels as we speak.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Tell everybody those plaques behind you, what they represent.
Yeah, for anyone doing the audio and not listening in, there's these really cool black and gold plaques up here on the wall, and they look like records. And what they are, I'll tell you what they are and then why we have them. But what they symbolize is a customer or an account of ClickFunnels who has built a business and built a funnel and sold over $1 million worth of revenue inside of that funnel, which is a huge milestone. It really feels like it's graduating high school for a lot of entrepreneurs. It means you found a market, you found a problem that they have, you built a product or a service solution in order to meet them where they're at in order to help them. And you did that enough times to the point where you've generated $1 million. And then the problems that entrepreneurs face after that first $1 million of revenue, the problems change, they get bigger, but it's like graduating high school for entrepreneurs. Oh man, finally I built a business. I'm still a little strapped, but we're playing in the big leagues now. So the reason that we did this is because there's the Grammys and the Emmys and the Oscars there's all these celebrations and like Super Bowl trophies and rings and all this stuff. Everyone in the world gets celebrated, but entrepreneurs seldom get celebrate it. Like, in fact, when you look at movies, a lot of times it's the big bad corporate business owner who's, you can't have a Christmas bonus, Clark Griswold, and it's stuff like that. It's the entrepreneur who gets shafted in terms of how they're portrayed in media. And no one's out here celebrating the entrepreneur finally hitting that $1 million milestone. And there's $1,000 award, and then the awards scale up from there. $1 million is really just the first one. And then we celebrate people when they hit $10 million. That means you're probably a master of systems and you've built out a really good system that can produce cash for you. And then to 25, 50, 75, and finally the Two Comma Club C award means your business hit $100 million. We've got like probably close to about 40 businesses now that we've been able to give that award to, which is incredible. And I would be entirely remiss if I didn't mention the Two Heart Award, I think is what we call it, or it's Two Comma Heart or Two Heart Award. And what that is, it means that your business has donated more than $1 million to a charity.
Nice.
That's our favorite award to give out. And usually it's because a business has linked arms. And this is what we really try to teach people to do is start when you're small. Before you even get one of these plaques, have a way that 10% of your proceeds or 10% of your revenue gets linked up with a charity. And that way it doesn't feel like you have to cut a huge check. You can grow and scale into that Two Heart Award. But that's one of the best awards that we can give away, is that you've built so much of an impact that you're able to give away $1 million to help someone's charity.
I love it. I love it. A couple other questions, Jimmy, for you. Okay. You're a disciplined person. You've been an athlete. You're an entrepreneur. Now you're a dad on top of it, a husband.
Yep.
How do you manage your day?
Haha. I'll call it 80% by the seat of my pants, and then 20%, which is actually good because a lot of entrepreneurs, they're flying 100% by the seat of their pants. I just started there's this app called Motion app, and it's a calendar. I'm trying not to use a bunch of fancy words. It's a calendar tool. It leverages AI, and I can collect all of my different calendar addresses and plug it all in. So it's got about 5 different calendars in there right now into one master calendar. When I join meetings, clicking through on that calendar, it sends an AI note taker to take notes and record on the meeting. It will stub out, like if there were to-dos from the meeting, it'll tell me, okay, your next 5 tasks after this meeting at medium, high, or urgent priority are this and this. And so when I have gaps and openings in my schedule, guess what? Motion says it's your working hours and you need to go do these tasks. So I'm really trying my best to leverage this app right now. And I think I'm barely scratching the surface. In fact, if anyone is listening and they understand this app way better than I do, please reach out to me because I want to be able to leverage it to the maximum capability that I can. Because it feels like I've hired an EA to manage follow-up tasks and notes after a meeting. But again, I can't stress this enough. I'm just as swamped as the next guy. It just feels a little bit better because at least everything's getting collected all in one spot, if that makes sense.
Great. So final couple questions for you.
Okay.
You're around a very entrepreneurial group of people there with ClickFunnels, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I know your brother-in-law is a great entrepreneur. You're a great entrepreneur. You come from a family that's in small business. Okay. And what things should people do? If there was one thing or 2 things or 3 things for that matter that people could do to improve themselves right now, what would they be?
I would really want to get clear on what it is that they want to improve on because there's different approaches to everything, really. And you put it in through the scope of entrepreneurs. So I'm going to assume wealth. But just to cover the bases here, if you want to get better at health, go find someone who's healthier than you and hang out around them. If you want to get way better at your relationships, go find somebody who has a really loving marriage or like very intimate relationship with their family, or someone who's really good at being a friend or an ear to listen on, and go hang out around them. You become like the people that you hang out around. So then to answer your question about entrepreneurship and probably money making and wealth and things like that, I would get really clear on your skills because you as the entrepreneur are the greatest asset in your brand and in your business. And I have this speculative outlook on 2028 and beyond, that you and your business will be compensated according to your creativity, because AI is going to be nuts. I won't be able to go to somebody and say, hey, do you want me to write some emails for you? They're like, why would you touch a keyboard? Why would I pay you to touch a keyboard?
Exactly.
That's going to be the conversation, right? So anywho, develop your skills before you develop anything else. And I'm assuming that this is maybe someone who's just getting started. I would tell you to work for free or as close to free as possible. And there's so many reasons, but one of the largest contracts I signed to work with somebody was I worked for free for them for over a year. Gave as much as I possibly could, and is the largest contract amount that I've done. So understand reciprocity. After you've built your skills, go leverage those skills for free, and understand that it may not be that person that you worked for free, but you will have developed so much that it will come back to you. It usually balances itself out. A third. It's got to come in threes, right? Everything comes in. I wouldn't be a good marketer if I didn't do a third, right?
Yeah.
That's the final lesson, is it comes in threes. No, I'm just kidding.
Most of the time, most things do in life.
Yeah. So I would say that if you've developed your skills and learn about humans, because at the end of the day, it might be this corporation, which is just a piece of paper in an office somewhere in a downtown city, and this corporation, which is just a piece of paper in another downtown city. They might, like, all the signatures might be on the piece of paper, but you did business with a person, and a person decided that they wanted to do business with you. So if how people work and what people want and how to align what you offer with what people want, you will become rich. It's a byproduct of aligning yourself with the wants and desires of the people who need your unique skills.
Now let me ask you the tough question, because this only has not one right answer, but I'm going to ask you one thing that people stop doing that they feel are holding them back from the level of success that they should be attaining in their business.
One thing that an entrepreneur must stop doing, so that being the person who does it all. Yeah. Man, so this is really ironic. I have a guy who I work with so we do some really, in my funnel design agency, we do some really amazing work. And I think the icing on the cake is this graphics guy that I work with, and he's super amazing. His name's Jason. He makes it shine. He makes it, like, he gives it that wow factor. And so, like, I know all the right things to put in there in order to compel people to want to click through to the next step, or buy the thing, or subscribe, or become a member, or invest tens of thousands of dollars. Like, I know what to put on the page, but he makes it shine. And this is the ironic part. I want so badly to be a creative person, and I'm not typically a creative person. I can model, I can reverse engineer, I can emulate, I like all those things, but the generative part of the human brain that creates a nice design, I don't have that. And it irritates the sin out of me that I don't have that, but he has it. And so I don't need to fight to claw my way up a river that's rushing the opposite direction. I need to go in alignment with my strengths and skill sets. So I work my relationships. I write deals for lots of money, and I deliver amazing product and service. But inside of that, I don't do all the steps in order to deliver amazing product and service. And that part is really important, that if I had it in my head that I needed to do all this stuff because I'm the guy who does all the stuff, I'm going to miss out big on a lot of the opportunities that'll come your way because you're too bogged down with the way that you need to do business. So stop doing everything yourself. Get people who are extremely talented at what they do and build deals so that you can pay them the charge that they deserve for their skill set. But yeah, that's what I would say is get out of your own way. Stop doing everything.
Great answer. Last question. So if people want to reach you, whether it's about viral clips, whether it's about building funnels, whether it's about any of the resources that your company can give them, where do they find you?
I think the easiest place right now is probably I'm active on Facebook and I look at my messenger on there pretty often. And so Facebook Messenger, and then I'm pretty sure my profile is facebook.com/Jimmy James Allen. So go check me out there. Or if you're watching the video, look up Jimmy Allen, and I should kind of look like this. So just go find that profile photo and click on me and just, yeah, shoot me a message, whatever you got going on. I'd be happy to have a chat.
Well, this has been a privilege and a pleasure, Jimmy. This has been a lot of fun. I know you're tired. I know you're not getting a lot of sleep these days with a new baby in the house, but
Yeah.
thank you so much for spending time with us, and your insights are tremendous, my friend. Thank you again.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been amazing. Thank you so much, Sean.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check back weekly for more exciting episodes. And don't miss Ink and Insight every Wednesday, where we celebrate iconic authors and dive into their impactful works.